Hey, my name is Clark Brown, and you may be wondering why am I watching this guy speak in his kitchen. This is my kitchen. I'm about to start making some barbecue or smoked queso on the grill. Forget about it, that's another time. Listen, I am an industry guy. I do a lot of different things, but I love this industry. I love educating people how to be more successful. And I just give what I know. Okay, so I put a poll in one group and I thought I'd make a video that could go across many different places. And it's on the subject of Xactimate, their pricing, how they come about that, and their feedback. Okay, a couple of caveats. One, a lot of people might know this, but a lot more don't, okay? So I'm speaking to those that don't, and those that do, you might have forgotten, and it's important to bring you back around to how this works. Two, I'm not an Xactimate expert. So I wanna make that really clear. To be honest with you, I have little to zero experience with Xactimate. I've always done disaster recovery and used T&M. My restoration, I'm more on the interior restoration, fire, water side than I am. I'm not even on the roofing side, so for those of you on that side, this will apply to that. Okay, secondly, I want to tell you that I've always formed my businesses around not using Xactimate. And it's for the very reasons that I see so many people complaining about Xactimate. It's a great program, it's incredible software, it's done very well, but it's misused by the carriers, not understood by the contractors, and generally not protected and promoted by Xactware on how it's supposed to be used. So for those very reasons, I'm not a fan. If I'm gonna pay thousands of dollars a year for a subscription to a software, I'm gonna make sure that that company goes out of their way to make sure their subscribers know its use and can use it at its full potential. I don't see that with Xactware, and I have my own reasons why I think that is. We can talk about that another time. But I wanna just try to make it simple on how Xactware works. I have graphs, I have data, anyone can reach out to me. This is a compact video that I want to kind of generally explain. Now, it doesn't matter what segment of the industry you're in, if you're in roofing, if you're in basement, if you use Xactimate, this is going to apply to you. It doesn't matter if you live in, I live in Richmond, Virginia, it doesn't matter if you live here, San Diego, Wisconsin, Poughkeepsie, New York, okay? Xactware is an estimating platform. Estimating. An estimate is a starting point. It is not an invoicing program. It should never be used to create the price for your invoice, okay? Xactware license agreement, section number 9, again, I have a screenshot copy of that. Any of you that are using Xactimate will have a copy of that, okay? So Xactware number 9, paraphrase, Xactimate says, by no means is the published rate for your market supposed to be the global price for how everyone should perform the work that they need to do. Means it's meant for you to have a starting point as a standard, but modify as your company needs. You should know your job cost. Many people don't. It's a whole nother issue, whole nother video. Know what your job cost is. Overhead, not meaning for the job, for your corporate, for your company, for your LLC or incorporated or S Corp. You need to know what your overhead is because that has to be baked in to your pricing, and you need profit goals. You need, that's how you come up, that's how a restaurant comes up with their price, that's how a car lot, that's how a grocery store. You are a retail business, you just happen to be into the insurance world, okay? I'm the guy that says the insurance company is never my client. They're a part of the triangle, they're a part of the claim, but they're heavily on the insured side. My agreement is between myself and the insured. And almost never ever can I think of a time when a carrier will be signing a work authorization or a contract because they don't own that property. That's not their job. We know all that. Their job is to verify coverage and help come to a fair and reasonable. Now, there are people that gouge, and therefore adjusters do catch that. There are mistakes that are made, so it can't just be charge what you want to. But back to Xactimate. In general, let me start with this. There is a graph, okay, that exists. So Xactimate's algorithms, perfectly great plan, is based on feedback. They're supposed to get authentic feedback from their users, you, carriers, third parties, specialty trades, whatever. Anyone that uses it should be uploading. There's a feature in the back end of settings, and again, not an expert. I believe that there is a version or two, maybe it's X, maybe it's mobile, I'm not certain, that the feedback is not possible or easy, tablet-based or something like that. So these are some gray areas that will be excluded from this conversation. But if I have a ABC Roofing, ABC Restoration Company, the way I'm supposed to do this, the way the program was designed, was I have my line items. I can download the line items for the work that I do to a CSV, to an Excel, and modify them. You can do individual line items, you can do it globally. Make sure you're doing it based on what your job costs. Don't just blanket add 30%, because not all things need to be 30% more. You should be working off of a customized price list in Xactimate that's specific to your company. There's no reason that your company, which might be 42 employees, heavily involved in marketing, high cost in training, a huge, incredible safety culture, have better trucks than everybody else. That's your choice to run that kind of company. And you know, God bless America, you can run the company you want to. But there's no reason that you should be stuck with the same price that Chuck in a truck has. Someone with no overhead working out of his garage with no cost. Those are two different things, and you need to be paid for the kind of company you have and you want so you can sustain and grow. So you should be customizing your price list. Honestly, everyone in your market should be doing this, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Perform your work, do your estimate, create an invoice. Not, you can send this over to total only to the adjuster or whatever. The insurance doesn't get to decide what you charge. That's the first thing you should get that in your head. Insurance can't select that. That's not written into the policy. Your cost is between the buyer and the seller. That's who decides, okay? Whatever that means to you, that's the way it should go. I've been very successful knowing that and using that. I onboard my customer and let them know that there's no reason that everybody should be the same, because the quality of the work is not the same. I'm gonna show up on time. I'm gonna do what I say. The other guy isn't. Do I get to charge a premium for being better? I think I do. If you don't agree, you're not a customer for me. So back to the feedback. Sorry, I'm going down rabbit holes here, but I want you to understand. You're supposed to customize, and then you need to feedback the information back up, upload it, program or no program, it doesn't matter. You have the authority and the obligation. And if you don't understand this, call Xactware pricing department and get them to train you on how to do it. I know companies that do it on every single estimate. Do feedback, and that becomes a factor into the averaging and the algebra, the algorithm of your market. Okay, so Xactware is looking at any feedback they get to identify what the labor rate. Now they do a pretty good job on materials and products and things, consumables, because their pricing department will online or call and get pricing on shingles and lumber and drywall and consumables and plastics and paints and things like that. I've heard from many contractors, they're pretty good on that. There's a baked in margin in that, but your labor is where you're losing money. Your labor, they aren't calling and asking you. Very few people I've heard of gotten that call. They're not calling you and asking you, what do you need the payable rate? So in my industry, it's remediation technician. It varies from 35 to 48 for whatever. By the time you take out all the stuff and you get back to the labor ratio and the efficiency, you're looking at about a $13 an hour person. I can't hire the right person to run the kind of job that the company that I want at $13 an hour. That's Taco Bell money. You can squirt out like meat substitution stuff through a tube to someone for $13 an hour. So they don't have to get out in the heat, they don't have to get in the crawl space, they don't have to put up with a angry customer, put up with a crazy boss, and they work what hours they want to. That's not who you should be hiring. Okay. Here's what happens. We continue to use the published Xactimate rates. So number one, if you do nothing at all, they continue, their algorithm says there's no change in the market. If you do feedback and you don't customize, you're only telling it that the price that they've got published is the price that's agreeable to you and works. That's why it hasn't changed. I want you to start getting that, and you can reach out to me if none of this makes sense. I've got graphs in your market, my market, every market that show historically, I can take 30, 40 line items, do a historical graph and show many, if not all, of the line items have been flat and some have gone backwards. And that's on product, equipment, as well as labor. Now you and I both know just based off inflation, that's not true. But meanwhile, we continue to work at subpar numbers. So that number is not your number. I'm giving you a high level. You need to talk to me, to Steve Patrick. Steve, level in the playing field, understands this. He's got classes on this. I might travel and teach a class on this. Ben Justinson with Enlightened Restoration Services or something like that travels teaching this on how you can affect. Now, if you imagine if you got all the roofers, all the restoration people in your market to customize their prices in Xactimate, upload every single estimate, jobs you get and the ones you don't. Stay ethical. Upload that back in. Use the system. You're going to watch it rise because now Xactimate's baked in algorithms are going to take the medium and the average of everybody's prices and push and move that up. Okay. You know what happens next? And this, by the way, this is happening now in multiple markets where people have learned this. Also where people collide and unite with their peers, which is what Paul Reed and myself and Kim Reed are trying to do with our industries. We're stronger together. That automatic price for anything starts to go up. Guess what happens? You start using it, no longer your custom, the published becomes your correct rate. Maybe not for your company, but you're not getting that adjuster that calls and says you're way over Xactimate. No, I'm exactly where Xactimate, I'm right where your published price is. I'm no longer, you're gonna go by the system, you're gonna go by the system. But again, I don't work for Xactimate, I don't work for the carrier. Here's why this hasn't changed. Number one, I told you people aren't doing feedback at all. Number two, if they do feedback, if they're on a program or if they're on a TPA, they're forced, they're contracted into a subpar rate. We could talk about that on a whole other series of videos. I'm not a fan. I don't think it's good for your business long term, blah, blah, blah. The other side is the insurance carriers do feedback automatically on a global scale on all theirs. So if you look at the pie chart published by Xactware on the contributors to their feedback, less than 5% are contractors. Less than 5% of all of their users. Remember that given on a different year, Xactware's subscribers are about half and half. It kind of skews sometimes a few points. Contractors, carriers. Contractors are not contributing to the price, so therefore the carriers have control. You want to talk about leveling the playing field? Learn this stuff, get the education. I want to keep it short there. I will tell you myself, I've shown people across multiple businesses, drop Xactware. Drop it. Learn to estimate without it. Submit an invoice or an estimate in your own way. That could be anything. It could be Excel, it could be a different program, it could be Job Progress, it could be QuickBooks, it could be Word, I don't care. But when you put it in Xactimate, you're putting it in the language that the carriers can beat up, okay? Stop. Be your own independent company. I've got a trade association called the Alliance of independent restorers. Membership growing. We are banding and uniting. You're free to join us. I don't care what you do, because what we need to fight crosses over all lines. I do not hate adjusters. I don't even hate carriers. That would be emotionally retarded. They have a job to do. They probably don't know. And I know for a fact from meetings I've had with adjusters, they aren't always business people. If they were in your business, they would see what it costs to run a business. They would see that the rates they've got, especially coupled with the delay of payment, why we need to be profitable. So all these things I've learned. Go back to the beginning of this video. What did I tell you? Someone that doesn't even use Xactimate, but I know this is a pain point for a lot of people. So I have spent a lot of time and money over a couple of years learning about this and other things that are important for me to try to tell stories on to kind of help make change. So I'm learning about a product and a program that I don't use so that I can help people, okay? Lastly, I will have you know, I want to be careful saying this, there is a video and there is dialogue out there. And I think if you were to call Xactware, and this is where this video came from, Mike Fulton. If you had a conversation with the CEO president of Xactware and were to ask him some questions, if I asked the question to Mr. Mike Fulton, Mike, is it fair and reasonable that the best use of your program was intended that a carrier tells me that you are to be priced only what Xactimate publishes as a local price? He would tell you, no, that's not how it works, that's not the intention, and that's actually misusing the software. That, from Mike Fulton's mouth, is recorded and it's out there. Okay, so imagine having that and having the video or the transcript of that, putting that with every single one of your invoices. So no longer does an adjuster call you and say, I'm only paying this. Well, you need to go back and look at how you're misusing the software that we're both part of. And then tell the homeowner, you might want to turn them into the Department of Insurance. If more people were to convince their insured to get involved in the fight, like Steve says, Steve Patrick, and so many others, get them involved, because they have the power. You have no power with the carrier, you're not in the contract. If they were to turn that into the DOI and say, I've got an adjuster not willing to reimburse incurred costs. Now I'll talk to you later about incurred costs. The problem is if you're turning in an estimate to a carrier, no wonder you're not getting paid for a while, because the homeowner, the client, their insured, has not incurred any costs yet. They need to pay you with a stamped invoice and paid and give that to the carrier. They'll get reimbursed then. If they get reimbursed short, it goes to appraisal, they turn them into DOI, then they get paid in full. Happens every time. They just need some spine. You need to be their advocate in that situation, not the PA. You're not a PA, UPPA exists. You need to be the advocate for your customer like you said you would be. So that's why you need to take Xactimate's published price and throw it out the window. You need to find all the line items that you use customary, customize them, standard, all the standard prices that you use for your roofing, your restoration. And it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take a couple hours. Make a new price list, name that file, upload it in your Xactware, and use that. When the adjuster says, hey, you're more expensive than everybody else, oh, thank goodness I'm more expensive. I'd hate to be the same as Joe down the street. You ever seen his work? You see how late, you seen his stars and his bad reviews? Look at my reviews. I've got top reviews. That's the company you need to run. Listen, I hope this video helped. It's kind of all over the place. I'm in my kitchen. This was just I just wanted to kind of to have a conversation with you and start that conversation on why. Answer that question, why is this happening? I hope it helped. I hope you have more questions. You know what you can do? You can PM me. Better yet, I'm gonna put in this post my email. Send me an email if you wanna have a conversation on more. Clark at Restoration Advisors, ADVISERS.com. Free call. I'm not here selling anything. I don't need you as a client. I don't need you to spend money, because I know that not many people are going to call. I know that most people will not take the initiative and give me a call to learn more, to be Superman or Superwoman in this world. But if you want to, reach out to me. I will get back to you as soon as I can, in the time frame that I can. We might even make a webinar and have a discussion about this. I'm here to help people be more successful. I don't need anything from you. I just need you to do it, be more successful, provide more jobs, enrich this community that you're living in, do what you say, have the company you dreamed of, okay? I want people profitable so they can run solid, amazing, ethical companies. When you aren't profitable, when you're forced to do Xactimate prices on some stuff, you're kind of forced to not do the best work you could, maybe, and not do as much of it. So I like to see businesses grow, and this is how capitalism works. But listen, Clark Brown, appreciate you tuning in. I hope this was useful. We'll talk soon.